Hey, XR here. I just wanted to do a brief look at a new game that I'm playing and I'm liking quite a lot. You're looking at the launch screen of it right now. It's called Infinity Wars, and apparently it's been out for a little bit, but it only was just launched on Steam this week, which is how I found out about it. It's still technically in beta, but apparently it's been out in beta for quite a while, but they just put it on Steam. It's a free-to-play trading card game, and unlike some others, it makes it really easy to get cards for free. I've played about 6 hours I think now, and I haven't put any money into it yet at all. But I've gotten a fair amount of cards. They make it pretty easy. So um, there's all kinds of things that you can do. I mean, it's basically it's a trading card game. It works very similar to Magic. It's more like Magic than anything else that I can think of. Um, but when you first log on, you're here. You have the global chat and everything, and you can go up here to play. And these are all the different ways you can play. Now, you actually have like here's my profile. You get XP as you level up, and I'm level 6 right now. And they actually lock player versus player multiplayer until you hit level 4. So you actually, when you first start, you have no choice but to just do um, the player versus AI, which I guess is supposed to give you a chance to get a handle on the game. So you've got here Academy, which is tutorials. I've only done the basic ones, and then I kind of just leaped right in. I've heard that the later ones are not super great, but I couldn't really say because I haven't actually done them. And then they have campaign, and this is where it's really neat. There's 7 factions in the game right now, and every faction has a campaign, which is 8 missions. And you earn for beating the campaign missions, which are like set up battles. You earn cards for your collection. You earn experience to level up. You earn influence points, which is the in-game currency you can use to buy packs. And also, every faction has a starter deck associated with it. And when you beat the third mission of each campaign, you get that faction starter deck for free. So I just went down the line here. I did these first 3 completely, and then for the other 4, I just did the first 3 missions just to get the starter decks. And once you have the starter decks, you can tear them apart and remake them any way you want. You also get a free booster pack every time you level up. So I'm level 6. At level 6, they actually gave me 2 booster packs, but before that, it was just 1 booster pack per. So the reward system is fairly robust. Now you can go into the store here and you can buy cards and decks, and these are the gray price is the price from the influence points which you earn just by playing. The yellow price is the price in Lightmare points, which is the currency you pay real money for. But they so far at least they've been handing out booster packs to me like candy. So just these 15 card booster packs for every time I go up in level. Plus, I got all the starter decks from doing the campaign. So it's really a pretty neat way to get a lot of cards pretty quickly. So let's talk about the cards a little bit. Over here, this is my collection. So there's 7 factions, as I mentioned, and you can mix and match them. In fact, the game actually suggests in one of the tutorials, I think, that when you're constructing a deck, you have at least 2 factions in the deck. Even though all the starter decks that they give you are a single faction only, and they work obviously, but they suggest for when you're going to be playing versus other people, you have more than 1 faction in your deck because each faction is good at basically at one thing, but they're only good at that one thing. So you need to have a little bit of variety in there. And they but the way they limit it, sort of, and this is the other cool thing about this, every card is animated. So when you actually, when you're looking at them like this, they're not, but when you actually bring up the card, they all are animated as if you're looking through a window, which is pretty cool. Actually, I was really impressed when I first started playing this at how cool that was. Um, but anyways, you see, let's just bring up one of the basic ones. So this is a factionless card. So there's the 7 factions. There's also factionless cards which can be used with any faction. So this is just the basic Soldier of Fortune. He's kind of like a grit unit. He's this is gives a handy tooltip every time you mouse over something, but he costs one to summon, one resource. Um, this is the morale cost, which you lose this much morale if he dies, and I'll go over that more in a minute. Um, he's a human character. He's common. He's got 4 attack and 4 health, and that's basically it. Now, health is persistent in this game, so damage you take carries over to the next turn, um, and that's how much damage they do. Now, if you look at a card that actually belongs to a faction, like this guy, who's a common of this faction, which is Genesis Corporation, is the name of this faction. You can see that he has this symbol up here, and you can see from this handy tooltip, this is the card's purity. It requires at least one Genesis Industries commander in order to have this card in your deck. Now, commanders are kind of an interesting feature of this game. When you build your deck, which has to be at least 40 cards, you also pick 3 commanders for your deck. And commanders can be anybody. They don't have to be, like, I happen to have all unique named guys here. But your commanders don't actually have to be like the named guys. They could be anybody. I could put any of these random guys in as commanders. But what the commanders do is they're kind of in play and yet not in play at the same time. They start the game in a separate zone of the board called the commander zone, and they can use special abilities from there, but they can't attack or defend from there. And you can actually play them onto the board from there, or you can just leave them there to use their special abilities and be, for the most part, safe, although you can still target them with card effects. But so every deck needs to have 3 commanders, and that affects the purity of the deck. So he's actually a commander, but see here, if he wasn't, he has purity of 2, so you can't put him in your deck unless you have 2 of your 3 commanders are Genesis Industries. So if we look at somebody from a different faction, like she has 1 Warpath purity, so she needs at least one of my commanders to be Warpath. Since none of my commanders in this deck are Warpath, I couldn't use this card in my deck. So that's why at most you could have 3 factions in a deck, but at that point you couldn't use any of the cards that require 2 purity. You can only use ones that require 1 purity. So I think, as is the case with Magic and most other things, the excuse me, the 2 faction deck is generally considered the way to go. So let me get into a game here, and I'll just go versus a pre-made bot just to show you the way the game works. Ooh, wait a sec, I didn't want to do that. Sorry, I can to the menu real quick and go back in. I wanted to use one of the starter decks just to demonstrate rather than one I had made. How do I change that? This chat thing is in the way. There we go. All right. Blah blah blah. Let's pick the. I'll just use the starter deck. This is the very first deck they give you when you get into the game, and it is the faction, the Flame of Dawn, I think they're called. What are they called? Flame Dawn. Yeah, Flame Dawn. And they're like these cool kind of fire-based crusade guys. So anyway, we'll play against this relatively easy guy with a full starter deck. So here's what the board looks like. It's his side, this is my side. And you can see here there's defense and assault zones. And basically, one of the key aspects of this game is that you take your turn simultaneously with your opponent, but you don't get to actually see what happens, what either of you do, until both of you have ended your turn, and then everything resolves at once. So there's kind of a predictive element to it. Cards that you play to the assault zone will attack. Cards that you play to the defense zone won't attack, but they'll block people in his assault zone. And if there's no one in the defense zone, or if they kill them, they get through and they attack your fortress, which is your health over here. And then also you have morale on this side, and that's actually that other, like, here's the morale cost of this character. When this character dies off the board, it reduces your morale. So if your morale hits 0, you also die. So even if they're not doing enough damage to your fortress, your health, if they manage to kill enough of your guys that your morale gets reduced to 0, then you also will lose. Most of these cards have a morale cost that is equivalent to their summoning cost, but obviously that's not true for like these guys, and that's because these guys are actually really good. Another thing I should mention is that each faction of the 7 factions has one card. Don't show this again. I'm explaining things. Has one card which is an unlimited character. Normally, you can only have 3 of any given card in the deck. Unlimited characters, you can have as many as you want in the deck, and that card is usually kind of like the keystone card of. It's always a common character, but it's always kind of like the way that defines that faction style. And so, like, Flame Dawn Aspirant is the unlimited character for the Flame Dawn. He's 4 attack, only 2 defense, but he's got the ability Charge. He only costs 1 to play, and Charge is they're played directly to the assault zone. Normally, when you play a character without Charge, first they go into the support zone, and they have to stay there for a turn, and then you can choose. They come out with Summoning Sickness. Basically, it's called being exhausted, and then after you're on your next turn, they become unexhausted, and then you can move them either to defense or assault. These guys go straight to assault. And the reason for that is that since you're taking your turn simultaneously with your opponent, it gives them a chance to sort of get an idea of what you might be doing. You play your character here, they'll see the character show up in support zone, and then they know, okay, next turn that character is going to probably come out to the board. But with these guys, there's no warning. They go straight out to assault, and they're attacking that turn. So that's what makes them so good, and they only cost 1. To play. Now, see, these guys was another one of their common cards. He's 5/4, also only costs 1 to play, but does not have Charge. So when you play these guys, they have to go to your support zone first, and then out onto the board. Now, these guys over here are my commanders, and as I said, any card can be commander. The good thing about having designating cards a commander is all 3 of these cards are common, so it's not like they're anything special, but as they're my commanders, they're over here from the beginning of the game, and I can pay their summoning cost to move them directly onto the board without having them to go to the support zone. Plus, they're always there, so I don't have to worry about drawing them. So it kind of gives you like this, almost like a sideboard that you can pull from. And if they had abilities that could affect the board, they could use their abilities from over here, but none of these guys do. But really, so the advantage here is that they're always here. I don't have to worry about drawing them, and I can pay their cost at any time to move them onto the board. You pay resources for your cost, and I can't remember which game it was, but I've played another game with the same system. Basically, your resources fill up to your maximum every turn, and your maximum increases by 1 every turn. So this first turn, I have 1 resource. Next turn, I'll have 2 resources. The turn after that, I'll have 3 resources, etc., etc. It ramps up as you go. So this is the first turn. I think what I'm going to do is pull one of my Flame Dawn Aspirants over here, directly into the assault zone. And that's all I can do because I only have 1 resource, which is now spent. So I'm now going to end my turn, and you can see now it's resolving what both of us did. He played Ghost of the Ancestors, who is a 1-cost character who's 3/3 flying. But because he doesn't have Charge, he has to go out to the support zone first. My Flame Dawn Aspirant, unopposed, attacks his fortress, does 4 damage. And now I draw, it goes right to my next turn. I drew a new card. So now I have 2 resources to spend. I'm going to bring this guy out as well because he's a commander. He does not have to go to the support zone. Commanders come right from here onto the board. If I played him from my hand, he'd have to go into the support zone first. So I'm going to pull him out over to there, and that still costs me, even though he was already on the board, it still costs their summoning cost to pull them out of the command zone. So that cost me 1, so I've got 1 left. I'm going to play a second one of him to my support zone. And he's red, that means he's exhausted, so I can't actually move him onto the board until next turn. He's either going to move this guy onto assault or defense. I imagine it's going to be assault if he's smart, because he's flying, and I don't have any flying guys in my deck, so I literally can't block this guy. I'm going to have to kill him with a card effect or something. Oh, no, he pulled one of his commanders out onto the board. This is a Meditating Monk, 4/6. At the end of your turn, if you were not attacked, Meditating Monk gets +2/+0. So he's in the assault zone, so he's going to be coming at me. He didn't actually pull that guy out. Okay, I do 9 damage, he does 4 damage, and now we're on to the next turn. So I can use this to kill his flying guy. This is just 2 cost, deal 4 damage to target character. So that's how this is. I'll show you how that works. Pull him out. I get the crosshair, target his guy back here in the support zone, and that will do damage to him, but not until we're resolving. He is now free to be moved because he's been in the support zone for a turn, so I'm going to put him over here. And in fact, you can rearrange these guys. They'll always fight enemies in the order you have them here, so it'll be 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1 across the board. But if they only have one guy here, he'll go down and fight each of them in turn until he dies. So my weaker guy I'm going to put in the back so that he has less of a chance of getting killed. I'm not going to bother defending against this guy because right now I'm doing so much more damage than he is that, you know, it's not that big of a deal to me. I'm going to play him to my support zone and end the turn. So he played Balanced Warrior, who's 6/6, and his power is always equal to his remaining health. So if you can pump up his health, he gets stronger. He goes to the support zone. My fireball goes off, blows up his Spirit Warrior. He does damage to me. I do more damage to him, and we're back to the next turn. So this is where these guys are really important. So he's now in my hand. He's one cost. Normally, like I did with this guy last turn, I'd have to play him to my support zone first, but because he has charge, I play him, and he goes right to my assault zone. And I'm also putting that guy out, and I'm going to play this Tech Knight, who is a factionless 3-cost 6/7. Straight up fighter. Ooh, he pulled one of his other commanders out, and these guys are kind of bastards. First of all, they're 10/12. And if he's in a combat zone, which is either attack or defense, not support or command, he takes 4 morale away from me. So he will kind of be damaging my morale every turn as long as he's over there until I get rid of him. Luckily, I'm doing a lot of damage to his fortress, but now that he's got a fair number of guys over there, he's doing a fair number of damage to my fortress as well. So now I have to make some choices. Okay, I'm going to put him in defense. He's got 6 damage and 7 health. But damage is persistent, so he's going to kill this guy with his 6 damage. He's going to do 4. He's going to have only 3 left. He's going to come up against this guy. He's going to do 6 to him, but only have 3 health left and be killed. And then this attack is going to go through. But then this guy will keep that 6 damage, and he'll only have 6 health for next turn. I have 5 resources. I'm also going to... I guess I will move... a couple of these guys over here, maybe to kill him. And I'm going to play... This is actually one of their Flame Dawn's cards, Call the Crusade, which actually creates 3 of these guys in the assault zone. At the end of, when I resolve it, so... Alright, he played a couple Invincible Defenders, which is that faction, the Descendants of the Dragon. It's their unlimited character. And he's got Vigilance, which is the opposite of Charge. He gets played directly to the defense zone. And if he gets dealt damage and survive, I lose 4 morale. Descendants of the Dragon are all about damaging morale. They're like, they turtle and then damage your morale. So... Call the Crusade, spawns my 3 guys. This stuff over here is happening as I said it was going to. Right. He fights the second guy. He did a good amount of damage to him. So they're all fighting each other here. Killed their Invincible Defenders and still did 8 damage to their fortress. Alright, well this is kind of interesting. Every faction has, I think, only one of these. Possibly 2, but I've only seen 1 for each faction. It's a location. This is Pier, Fortress of the Flame Dawn. And when I play this, it goes into my support zone and just sits there. And at the end of each turn, it creates one of my 4/2 Flame Aspirants in my assault zone. So it's just constantly pumping these guys out. So I'll play that, and it actually transforms my battlefield to look like the fortress, which is pretty cool. I'm put him over here because I want to take this guy out. I'll play him to there and him too. Why not? He's going to keep putting these guys out because he's got as many of these guys as I do of the charging guys. Now it's starting to take their toll. They're killing off my guys, which is hurting my morale, you'll notice, because every time one of those guys dies, my morale goes down. Torchbearer. When Torchbearer comes into play, your opponent loses 3 health. I think I'm still doing okay. Alright, this is his other commander. This is one of their unique characters. You can pay to have him buff your guys. I think I'm going to use this card to get rid of him. This is Assassinate. It's a factionless card. Kill target character, just straight up, but your max resources decrease by 2, and then they'll keep going up. It'll put me 2 behind my opponent, but in this case, it's worth it. So we're going to Assassinate him. We're going to bring the Torchbearer out, which will do 3 damage to him just for that. He played another Balanced Warrior, and also another unique guy, Sun Shen, the Resolute General. 8/12. When he comes into play, characters you control take half damage this turn. Okay, didn't actually that ability went off, but it didn't actually matter because his only guy on the field didn't actually fight him. I'll take him out with that guy. And I'm going to play this Mortar. This is a good one. It sits in your support zone. You can activate it by paying 3, and it just deals 8 damage straight to their fortress. I've gotten a lot of use out of those cards. He just played another support type card. I'll wait till these things resolve before. Yeah, that guy has a lot of health. He's gonna die, but he's gonna kill all my. Oh no, he's not gonna die. Crap, because he played that other one, so they're taking half damage. That's annoying. Well, I could still take him out because I got this thing, thankfully. Yeah, this is the other support card. He just played Wealthy Noble. As long as he's on the battlefield, you have 1 extra resource, so he ups your resources. We'll activate that. We'll put out a Defense Golem, who is just 0/20, and he can block characters with flying, which is pretty cool. Put him out there, and that's so. Oh my God, he's got another one of those guys. That's ridiculous. Wait a minute. How can he have so many of those guys out at once? They're unique characters. I thought you were only allowed to have 1 of them out. I call shenanigans. The AI is cheating. I don't think it's going to matter. I'm going to win anyway. Activate my Mortar again. Him out there. Put him over there. Unless he can really pump up the damage. I'm going to win next turn. This is a good card. This is a Flame Lord card. Just like an event card. Return target character in combat zone to support zone. So an interesting thing with this, though, is I can actually target a character who's currently in his support zone, and it will only actually go off if he moves that character into a combat zone this turn, but I can sort of guess that he's going to do that and be like, oh, he's probably going to move this guy, so I'll use this on this guy even though he's not in the combat zone, and then he'll move in and then immediately get sent back out. So that's what I did. Activate the Mortar, put this guy over here. Just click. See? Boom, stumbled. And that took him down to 0 health, so assuming I survive this round, which I will, I'm going to win. Boom. And then I get my XP, get some influence points, and go back to the menu. So yeah, that's Infinity Wars. That's the way it works. It's pretty fun. I have won an item, apparently. That may be a bug. I'm pretty sure it is supposed to actually tell me what I won. But yeah, so, like I said, there's 7 factions. They're all pretty cool. I'll give you a rundown quick. We've got the factionless guys. We've got the Warpath, which are like animal people. Jungle giants and killaroos, mammoths, and these like furry people, pack leaders. We've got, how do I turn these off? Genesis Corporation, which are the guys I like the best so far, who are like robots and mech guys. these type of dudes. We've got the Varor, which are like they're like necromancers, basically death worshipping type guys. Varor Death Worshipper is their unlimited character. Um, we've got the Flame Dawn, who I was just talking about, who are like these like techno crusader guys who are out to crusade and conquer everyone, and they're all fire based and have cool techno armor and ships and stuff. We've got the Descendants of the Dragon, who I was just playing against, who are the Asian themed uh, defense morale killer faction. We've got the whatever these guys are called, Avarak something. Yeah, Avarak, who are like the undead. They're like techno undead though. They're like robot-y, but they're basically like Necrons. So they're pretty neat. And then we've got the Exiled, who are like demons. So there's kind of a lot of different evil races depending on what you like. There's uh, zombie undead guys, demon guys, and then these like human necromancer type dudes. And then Asian flame dawn robots and animal people. So yeah, a lot of variety there. They all do kind of different things, as I was saying. Warpath are they you can actually breed your characters together to create more characters that have like this is the caretaker of the young. You can pay one, exhaust her, and any beast character, which is their keyword character beast. And you can create a 4/4 beast character, so you can actually breed them, and they have different cards that let you like breed them with different abilities and stuff. The robot Genesis guys are all about pumping up your robots. They have all these characters which you can sacrifice your characters to improve other characters, and their unlimited character is this unending drone. And at the start of a turn, they raise one other unending drone from your graveyard. So as long as you have one in play, they'll keep bringing them back, and they're weak, but they'll keep bringing them back, and then you can actually sacrifice them to improve your other guys, which is pretty cool. The Varor Death Eater, which is their unlimited character, gets stronger for every character that dies. So they're all about that. The Flame Dawn are the guys I was playing, who are super, like, they're all about speed, getting out fast and attacking fast. Descendants of Dragon are the defendy guys, and they target morale. The zombies actually are all about having dudes in your graveyard. Their unlimited character is Endless Horde, and it gets +1/+1 for every other Endless Horde in your graveyard. So you want to actually be getting these guys killed, because the more of them in your graveyard, the stronger the remaining ones get. And the Exiled are all about sacrificing their own guys. They have like these ritual masters that you can sacrifice a character. Their unlimited character is this disciple who actually you can sacrifice any other two characters, and he turns into a 10/10 demon. So if you have a bunch of these guys, you can sacrifice two of them and keep turning the third one into a big demon. And they also have all these other guys that kind of play off sacrificing your own guys to buff up your other guys. Kind of similar to the Genesis guys, but without the unending drone trick. And the Genesis guys also have this secluded constructor who you can sacrifice any artificial, which is their keyword. All their robots are artificial. So you can pay a sacrifice any artificial character on the battlefield, and then any target character gains that sacrificed character's power and health plus an additional 1/1. So you can kind of use the unending drones as fodder for her as well, and have her keep building up your guys and stuff. So it is pretty cool. I am enjoying this game quite a lot. The free-to-play model is quite good. You get a lot of cards without having to pay a whole lot, or without having to pay anything. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. So you should check it out. Cool. Later.